I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Dennis Kudla.
I'm Jesper de Jong.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I am Francisco Cerundolo,
and you are listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are with a long overdue podcast, I would say. And I'd like to apologize to everyone for not bringing it sooner, but we could not bring it. It is Djokovic's 21st Grand Slam victory. He did win Wimbledon for an impressive 4 years in a row. Well, minus the ones where it got cancelled, but still 4 times in a row for Wimbledon, a 7th Wimbledon title and 21 Grand Slams overall. Now only one behind Mr. Rafael Nadal. And I'm lucky enough to be joined by Mr. John Silk here for this roundup. As we know, big Rafa fan, but also a big tennis connoisseur himself. How are you, sir?
Connoisseur, Ben, using big words there to try and throw me off. Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's been 10 days now, but I think there's still lots to discuss, lots to reflect upon, and lots to look forward to, although maybe less so when it comes to Djokovic, because, you know, what kind of action is he going to be coming up against in the next 4 to 6 weeks? Well, quite possibly none is the answer to that, but I'm sure we're going to go into detail on that throughout the show.
Yeah, most definitely. I want to say thanks to everyone who has joined us for this one. We've got a few people in the live chat. We've got Thomas Rowley and saying silk, baby. Dun, 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 dun. And that's a Vanilla Ice one there for John.
Yeah, I like how he put Vanilla Ice in brackets. I think we're old enough to remember. But thank you, Thomas.
That's it. And there's a lot of people. Chris Cooper, sign the petition. Let him play. This is all talking about, obviously, Novak Djokovic. Most likely not going to be able to play the US Open. We will be coming to that. We've got a few bullet points to cover in this episode. We will be starting off with just a review of the Wimbledon tournament. We got JG in the live chat. Let Nole play. He wants to see him at the US Open as well. And we got Gary in. Good to see you, Gary, as well. Table tennis. We got Ashley in as well. MQR. Few of the regulars. Great to have you in. Yeah, like I said, we'll start off by just rewinding back to Wimbledon. And what was, I'd say, I wouldn't say it was a completely easy win for Djokovic, but I'd say very composed. And that's how Nick Kyrgios sort of summed up the final for him, which I thought Kyrgios came across really well in his post-match press conference. And I think we have to give him some plaudits, Nick Kyrgios, here before we go on to Djokovic and talk about how great he is. Kyrgios had sort of it all fell into place for him, really. His favourite surface, Rafa pulling out. I thought he might have beaten him anyway. I think it would have been close no matter what. If Rafa was injured, who knows? But the way he handled himself, even though he was in a final, he was still shouting and screaming a bit, wasn't he? But ultimately, I don't think he let himself down at all in this tournament. I think he can go away with his head held high and be proud of a really good tournament. And I think he matured a bit in this tournament. And I was actually really pleased to watch him play on the tennis court. He had the circus earlier in the tournament. I think he got rid of it a bit for the final, and he showed what he was really made of.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about Kyrgios for that final and what kind of Nick Kyrgios would show up. I anticipated actually a fairly timid Kyrgios, and I was worried that he might be overcome by the occasion. But actually, I think he performed. He performed as well as he could, which is basically the serve. If the serve is on, it's on. And it really was for most of the match. There was those 2 games, one where he was love 40 up. If you see what I mean, he had 3 break points on the Djokovic serve towards the end of that second set. he had to really be taking advantage of that to get it back on serve to force probably a tiebreak, because I think it would have been 5-all rather than 6-4, which Djokovic won. And then, of course, he was 40 love up on his own serve as it got towards the business end of the second set. I think probably, if anything, though, maybe where he did just fall apart was probably in that final tiebreak when I think he went for a crazy forehand into the net, really. And he took a few gambles on his second serve, but that's what he had to do. He had to gamble. He's not going to beat Novak Djokovic without gambling. And regarding Djokovic, and I'm actually going to mention my preview to the tournament, if you like, in my review, in that I said before the tournament, I fancy Djokovic to win. Many people were highlighting the fact that he was under pressure because this could be, and we're going to obviously come on to that, as we know, it could be his last slam of the year, could even be his last slam for the next 10 months, but that's much further down the line. So people were suggesting he's under pressure. I actually saw it differently. I saw him as somebody with the backs against the wall kind of pressure. And that's when Djokovic comes out fighting. It's very different when you're on the front foot, as he was. By the way, do you like the fact I've got a little pen here? So it looks like I'm taking notes.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah,
John.
Yeah. So when it's on the front foot and you're leading from the front, it's a lot more pressure and a lot more difficult, like he was at the US Open, where the pressure to win, the pressure to keep winning, and he struggled with it throughout that US Open, and before it eventually came to that final and Medvedev beat him. That's a very different kind of pressure to, listen, you've got to come out fighting. They're both pressure, but one is kind of a good pressure, if you like, and one is a negative, overwhelming pressure. And I think the pressure going on into Wimbledon was a good pressure for Novak. And we saw him. He came out fighting. He came out fighting, especially against Sinner. Even in that match against the Dutchman, who's, I know his name, but I'm not going to pronounce it, in the third round. Do you want to give it a go?
Van Rijkhoven, yeah.
There you go. Oh, you've got a bit of a Dutch accent there, Ben.
Oh, thank you very much. It's Tim van Rijkhoven. I think
Yeah.
this must be Roland, who's been helping us with some of the commentary. He's been rubbing off on me. But I thought he was just his return of serve. When we got to see him play live, that was the biggest takeaway from the tournament, really, for myself and JG. Just watching him return serve there in person is just it's a thing to behold. And people who cheers, Gene. People who really think of Novak Djokovic and don't really give him the exciting brand. I've seen a lot of people like sort of brandishing it around. You can't be the greatest because you don't play with the power. You don't play like Federer used to wipe people off the court. Nadal, he hits with such like power and passion, and yeah, but there's a beauty in the art of playing the whole game of tennis, and you can look at every single part of his game and dissect it and see the beauty in it, because to be able to return the speed of serve that he can return and get it in the perfect part of the court so that he's not under attack. It's almost like recovering from a snooker, let's say, obviously in snooker, if you manage to get the ball back in a position where your opponent isn't in an attacking position anymore, it's nearly perfect, because then you're in the rally and then that's his domain. Like he's achieved what he needs to then.
And Kyrgios found that in the final.
Yeah, exactly right. And that was just one of the main things that the takeaway from watching it live is just Van Rijkhoven's serving is incredible. I mean, it's really, really up there. He's really shown himself as a really great grass court player, and his serve skips off the surface. I think we saw with Sinner as well. His serve was popping this tournament. Took Djokovic slightly longer to maybe work him out. He probably wasn't having his best day, but still the composure. And that's the one thing we'll keep.
Djokovic mentioned after the final, he said how he started to work out Kyrgios' serve, and I think that's what Djokovic is very good at, and that's sometimes why we see him lose the first set, especially against opponents he's not really played before or not played often. I mean, he hasn't played Kyrgios for 5 years, and he lost twice, but it was very close together during a pretty poor spell for Djokovic in 2017. And by the middle of the second set, he was purring. A little bit like last year, actually, with that final against Berrettini. Berrettini sort of nicks the first set, so to speak. Kyrgios, in a way, nick is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? He just seized the day towards the end of that first set, as Berrettini did, and then it was just, inexorable finish to the finish, if you like, from Djokovic, and we've seen it before. And yeah, a worthy champion. this conversation about Nadal and his injury, it's almost irrelevant. I look at Nadal's win in Australia. I look at Djokovic's win in Roland Garros last year, and I look at this as well. It's just you've got to win 7 matches, okay? And I actually find it a little bit tiresome, and I know we're going to come on to it, but Nadal fans will spin stats in their favor. So will Federer fans. So will Djokovic fans. To be honest with you, there's only one stat that we can really say without doubt, and that is that Novak Djokovic has won 21 Grand Slams.
Yeah, in impressive fashion as well. And the one thing that I was going to say is, I mean, they probably ruffle quite a few feathers as well. That I think that he's probably the greatest grass court player of all time. That's my personal opinion. Like, I know it's probably a big thing to throw out there, but the way that I see that he handles, I think it's not just the game, it's the pressure on grass, because it's easy to get overwhelmed and you can lose a game very quickly on the grass courts. Like 4 big serves, you're gone. Like, that's it. The game's disappeared. And the fact he's able to work out big servers so well, it sort of nullifies their game. And you have to have literally an amazing ground, or the rest of your game has to be amazing to be able to take him out, because if you've only just got a serve or a big forehand, he'll find the weakness. And unfortunately, if he finds the weakness, you're done for. And we saw that with Sinner as well. And the weakness for him was probably just all up there for Yannick Sinner, unfortunately.
I mean, I don't know if Sinner really lost it, but certainly once Djokovic got that break at the beginning of the third, you thought, okay, here we go. And that's exactly how it went. Once Djokovic managed to break Kyrgios, I think quite near the beginning of the second set. I can't remember exactly when he broke, but it was like, yep, here we go. Same with the semi-final against the Nottingham Nadal.
Norrie?
Norrie, thank you.
Nottingham Nadal.
Yeah, so like I think of Nottingham Nadal lefty. I couldn't think. Yeah, once he broke in the second set against Norrie, and it's just inevitable. And actually, I think that third round victory, which we highlighted against Van Rijthoven, was similar, but a little bit different, because of course he lost the second set, I think, and then it's like nip and tuck. And I think Djokovic just win the third set 6-love, if I remember. And it was just like, okay, Djokovic is like, hang on a second,
6-1. You're
6-1
right.
was it? Okay, he's like, hang on a second, you just took a set off me. I better get this done. And especially as I think the night was drawing in and the lights were drawing in, and you didn't. I think
like
he was even
said,
afterwards.
He mentioned it, didn't he, in his post-match presser? He said, after that second set, I caught the reads on his serve.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as and from Van Rijthoven as well. He said, as soon as and you saw it, it showed 6-1, 6-2 in the last 2 sets.
Yeah.
He just completely worked him out. And that's somebody who's never played before as well. So it took him 2 sets, but once he worked him out, he barely won a game after that. And that's what he can do to you. Djokovic at Wimbledon is a scary, scary prospect. And
I would disagree with you, Ben, about the greatest on grass of all time.
There's a lot of candidates, though. You've got
Sampras, Federer. How many Wimbledons did Sampras get? 8, was it?
Sampras has 7. You think he's level now?
So level,
is that right?
And Federer has 8, something like that. I'm sure someone will pick up.
Yes, Federer has 8. Sampras and Djokovic now have 7. So I personally think that Djokovic can overtake both of them.
If Djokovic has 9, that's a pretty compelling argument, but that's for the future.
Most definitely. Let's please. I know that there's been a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of people saying, "God, you're not even celebrating Djokovic's 21st Grand Slam." Obviously, we've been caught up with some other business after Wimbledon, so we're just happy to be able to bring you this now. So let's give him his just desserts, and I'm going full Nole fam on this, like JG is saying here. With the rebrand, I thought I was joining Nole fam, not you, Ben. So that was we were talking about the rebrand of the channel. I was saying with the rebrand, does JG become part of Nole fam? And maybe I become part of the Rafa mob, but I don't know. I don't know if we can change those type of things. We'll change the look of the channel and the way that we do our streaming, but I don't know if you can change the core of the supporter within you. So it's like asking you to stop supporting Rafa, John. It's just not going to happen, is it? Can't do it. It's in your blood.
Exactly.
So, right, let me bring up some of these. We've got some tweets, just some nice stuff just to look through. And some of them is from some Noel fam stuff. This one was saying, obviously, 7-time Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic gets a hero's welcome in Serbia, just to show a little bit of what is going on here. And sorry if it's a little bit choppy, but
we can talk over this, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can see here. I mean, I could just show like some still shots. I mean, it was just pretty amazing, to be honest, just to witness the welcome that he gets, like when he goes back to Serbia, that type of thing. I mean, it's one thing to see all of the people like all around just the tennis tournament and all being around Wimbledon, and you expect all of that there, but the sort of hero's welcome that he gets when he goes home, I mean, it's fully deserved, isn't it? I mean, this guy is sort of a walking hero.
I mean,
to a lot of people in
he's
Serbia.
Mr. Serbia. I mean,
Yeah.
the Swiss might hand Federer a piece of chocolate at the airport. Nadal might get a Rioja or something, but this guy gets the country.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm really happy for him, just because obviously there's so many statistics we're just going to go through. I'm conscious the next part of the podcast we're going to be sort of looking at a comparison of this year to last. So I'm going to go through some of these tweets just so that we can have a look. The big three made a Grand Slam final from 2005 Roland Garros all the way to the Wimbledon 2014. US Open 2014 broke that run. 38 majors in a row. One of the finalists was Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, what do you make of this statistic, John?
Honestly, I know it in a way. I know that for 15 years, these three guys have dominated and won about 95% of the majors and been in about 99% of the finals. Yeah, it's nuts. And I think a more incredible statistic. Here's one for you, Ben, that you may or may not be aware of.
Go on.
I think there was a moment about 2010, more or less, when the standings were Federer 16, Nadal 9, Djokovic 1.
Oh, mad, isn't it? Like
So
that type of.
So he was 15 slams behind Federer. I'll just put that up on the screen there for you. So 16, 9, 1 was, and so Nadal was there in the middle, and so that's the kind of path that Djokovic has taken, if you like, and it almost shows. I mean, listen, Federer's always been there or thereabouts. We know he's been injured for 2 years, but actually in the last 10 years he's won 4 slams, and in the same amount of time, Djokovic has won 20.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, when I was making the settling the GOAT debate one after the last Wimbledon, and I was counting just to try and work out of the last, I think it was 42 Grand Slams, he won 19 of them. And that for me is just that statistic in itself. Like, he won pretty much half of all the Grand Slams you could win in the past 42 Grand Slams. Obviously, that's changed a bit now. We've had more Grand Slams. I haven't updated my brain box.
Have insane statistics. I mean, Federer winning, and going for Grand Slams at 39 or 40 was just unheard of when you have things like Bjorn Borg retiring at 26 because he was burnt out. And perhaps that Bjorn Borg is actually the antithesis of the big three, not in terms of legendary status. He's a legend in the game, winning French Open and Wimbledon as often as he did. I think he's got 11 between those two slams alone. But which, by the way, none of these guys have that many. If you put the French Open and Wimbledon as a pair,
the hardest two to win, though. Back to back. That's the thing.
But when I say antithesis, it's because Bjorn Borg was burnt out at 25, 26, and McEnroe himself has been on record many a time saying he couldn't believe it. He was gutted that his biggest rival had quit, and he actually tried to talk him out of retirement. And the reason being is because he kind of needed Borg. He needed a rival, and these three, we see it sometimes with Djokovic, and I've heard other people mention before, and I'm sure that and Federer too. I reckon, Federer himself has spoken about when Nadal first came along, and he's like, I didn't really like having a rival at first, but then I embraced it and I
Yeah.
got better and he got better and we got better, of course, when it became 3 and so on and so forth. I think these 3 guys, it's all well and good that we could imagine if you're a Djokovic fan thinking, oh, if only Nadal was a different era, maybe Djokovic could have got a couple more French Opens and so on and so forth, Federer and so on and so forth. Yeah, but the thing is, I think some of these guys, if not all 3, may well have retired 5 years before.
Well, that's exactly it. And I think it's a really good point for you to bring up the whole McEnroe-Borg thing as well. Obviously, there is a new movie going to be coming out very soon, the McEnroe, if not already out, talking about his life, John McEnroe, where we were lucky enough to go to the premiere. It was like a private screening of it. And it's super interesting just to hear what he has to say, really, about his relationship with Bjorn Borg and just how they were such polar opposites, but yet that was on the court. Off the court, they were very similar. And he didn't understand why that he retired at so young. But then Bjorn Borg said, like, well, obviously when you're at the top, he said, there's only sort of like the pressure. He said it's that intense. He said you'll find out. So he said they'll find out why. So when he retired, everything went on to McEnroe, and then you got to see him. It's like life became a bit of a nightmare, and that type of thing. Like having that rivalry, it's sort of like you can bounce off each other. Without that there, it becomes so intense. All of the attention just on one person as well. So
yeah. Yeah, and as Chris mentions as well, Sampras is another example. I think he retired at 30. And he's somebody, Sampras, who's not really ever got involved in the sport. I actually watched an old interview with him from about 7-8 years ago, just the other day. It was on CNN. And, it was about whether he wanted to be a coach. And he's like, nah. And he does go to Wimbledon from time to time, but I don't think Sampras was there when they had the Champions thing the other day, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I
think he
saw
was.
him.
Don't think he was. Federer was there. Serena Williams wasn't there either, although she was having a great old time in London. She decided not to attend that event.
He wasn't there either.
No, Becca wasn't. I'll have to check my notes as to. Hang on a second. I'll have a look at my notes. Becca. Oh yeah. Yes.
Being in Germany, you should probably know more than most.
Yes, yes. Well, also being in London, Ben, I think that's where Becca currently is residing.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next one anyway. It says Djokovic has played in every Grand Slam since the start of 2005, except 2017 US Open and the 2022 Australian Open. So
yeah. And only one of those was because of fitness, if you like. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I think Djokovic as well. I mean, since returning from that 2017 spell and injury, I think he's been great. He did. I think he lost to Wawrinka quite early in the 2019 US Open. But that's basically the only slam I can recall in the last sort of 5 years where he's gone out early. He's always sort of made the semis or the final. I know Nadal as well. I think he's got like 21 majors now or slams in a row where he's made, no, not 21, maybe about 17, where he's made the quarterfinals or later. The last time was 2017 Wimbledon when he lost to Rossell, I think, in the 4th round. But he's every single one he's competed in the last 5 years, he's got to at least the quarterfinals and obviously a lot further.
Amazing statistics. I mean, these will just keep growing, I feel. These statistics are until they retire, I fully expect to see these just to continue to grow. Now, the next one I believe is Big Nole Fam. It's a Rax 21 Nole Fam. So we're going to be getting some big statistics saying July the 14th, 2019, Roger Federer has 2 championship points for a 21st Grand Slam. The slam count back then was Federer 20, Djokovic 15. 3 years and 11 slams later, Djokovic 21, Federer still on 20. Say no more. I mean, obviously the age has a little bit to do with it, but it's testament to Djokovic. He still managed to pick up 6 Grand Slams. And
yeah. Was it 2015 then? Was it okay? But yeah. So since then, of course, Djokovic won 3 last year alone. And he also won that particular Wimbledon, making it 16, I guess. But yeah, it's been incredible. Yeah, it is what it is. I think really, and we're going to come into the slam race towards the end, I think, or as we progress. But what we've seen really in the last 18 months, really, with once Nadal got to 20 at Roland Garros in October 2020, then obviously Djokovic getting to 20 last year at the Wimbledon, of course, and then also then getting to 21 this year, is I think those two now. It sounds strange because they're still very close, 22, 21, 20. But because of Federer's age and health, I think those two now, it's now two in the slam race. It's now two in the slam.
Most
Now,
definitely.
GOATs and greatest of all times, so subjective, so many different ways you can spin stats. But the slam race is, it's there. I've always said with the slam race as well, since I first came on this show almost sort of 18 months ago, I think it was 2 years ago, that I always thought if the slam race was tight, if you had two players tied on 20 or 22 or whatever, I thought then you could say, well, Djokovic has only won the French Open once, or Nadal has only won the Australian Open once, but now that's gone as well because they've got they're doing it. Whereas Federer only won French Open and he'll never win a second. I think we can all agree on that. So I think the slam race now is down to two.
Most definitely. I think that is nearly guaranteed. No disrespect to Roger Federer, but even when he made a sort of comeback at Wimbledon, he was sort of outclassed by Hubert Hurkacz.
Do you think we might see him in a sort of a farewell at Wimbledon next year?
I think we probably will. I think that if he's going to say farewell anywhere, then it'll probably be Wimbledon. I mean, he turned up at Wimbledon this year just to show his face. Obviously, that set the crowd alight. I mean, seeing him there really got everybody excited, and all the rumor mill started talking, didn't it? I mean, is he here because he's making an announcement and all this type of stuff? And he said that he hopes to be there next year, so he's not ruling it out. And I'm sure if he selects the tournaments wisely and just gets back to full fitness, we'll see him for one last Wimbledon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right. Probably more Nole fam here. It says Djokovic, 21 stats for 21 slams. Not sure. I'm going through all this. Said the Serb just kept piling on the career numbers with his latest triumph. He's won at least 2 tour level titles a year for the past 17 years. Now that's quite a. I'm not going to go through all 21 unless everybody wants me to go on there. I just saw this one on there. I just thought this one's quite a good one. 2 tour level titles a year for 17 years is pretty. That's an interesting stat as well, I thought.
Yeah.
Move through some of these other ones. Here we go. I thought this Rax Nole fan would have quite a few on here saying big 3 big titles. I think that's supposed to be versus age. Djokovic 64, Nadal 59, Federer 54. Big title equals Grand Slam, Masters, Tour Finals, and Olympic gold. And then, let's just read this. Thank you for the super chat there, Rowdy Every Lap. Do you want to read that one, John?
Yeah, thank you. Nole and Rafa will end up tied at 24-25. Rafa's my favorite going into the US Open with a 19-0 record in the slams. I think is he 19-0? Is he at the moment? Yeah, of course he is. I guess 7-7. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and we'll probably just touch on Rafa's chances at the US Open towards the end of the show. Regarding that 24-25, what do you reckon, Ben?
I think it could be there. Yeah, I mean, I was sort of alluding to around 25 for Novak. I know that was probably 18 months.
I've given up trying to guess. A year or 18 months ago, I said it would end 22 to Novak, 21 to Rafa, and 20 to Federer.
It's difficult though, because with Novak's vaccination status and all this stuff, and all of the fact that it's coming back.
Who could see that 2 years ago? I mean, who could see him stuck in a hotel in Australia like that?
But is it mad to think that despite all of that and the fact he might only be able to still play 2 slams a year, I still think he could make 25 Grand Slams playing 2 a year for the next 3 years or something. So
yeah, I mean, he'll probably play more than that. But regarding this stat, by the way, this falls bang into the category of, you can big title. I see that's Grand Slams, Masters, Tour Finals, Olympic gold. Well, yeah, we know how the 3 players are really good, and I could just take away tour finals from that, and of course it has a completely different shape. You could just say who's won majors, all 4 majors plus an Olympic gold. I could twist it in whichever player's favor I wanted.
Well, this is
and
a
come up with
Novak
any stat I
Djokovic
could possibly.
podcast, John Silk. So we're going to have it in this favor for today. And we're going to be looking at all the positives for Novak Djokovic on this one. This one's Nole fam posting. So this one
Nice
is
impartial
just
observer.
nice impartial. So we're going to just have a look at the little stats that they provided for just Novak Djokovic. And on this one, as you can see, obviously the titles to age just ahead of Rafa on Nadal there, and Federer sort of petering off towards the 40s here, just going on a flatlining at the moment for the last few years. But you can't really say anything about that. I mean, he's been injured, hasn't he? So can't really win much when you're struggling around after knee surgeries. This is Gene's Ember, John Still. Like, yeah, Gene's here, Gary's here, everyone's here for a Novak Djokovic extravaganza. John's going to try and sneak in a few Rafa stats, I'm sure, throughout this. I think I've got one in here which is just for the fairness, but yeah, that one's quite an interesting one. This one, more Novak, says Novak stats from Raid, saying slams won after being 2-love down at any stage. Djokovic 4, US Open 2011, Wimbledon 2015 and 22, and Roland Garros in 21.
Is that finals? I'm guessing that's
it's just at any stage of the tournament. They've been 2 sets to love down and come back. So
yeah, I think of Roland Garros, he was
Tsitsipas.
Musetti, Tsitsipas, so that's 2. Yeah, this
Yeah.
year obviously Sinner. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, and you can see there, obviously Federer, Roland Garros in 2009. I can't even remember who was that against.
No,
I can't even remember off the top of my head.
But that's quite a big one because, of course, that's the year he won it. Yeah, that's right. I think Nadal went out the previous day to Söderling, and it was kind of like now all the eyes were on Federer. It's like now Federer's going to win it finally, and the next day I think he was 2 sets to love down and under immense pressure on I think Susan Longlen, and it was like, oh no, the one year that Federer might go on and win it because Nadal was goes out to Söderling. Tommy Haas. In fact, one of my first ever matches was Federer against Tommy Haas, albeit in Australia. Another 5-setter. And Tommy Haas, of course, what's he doing nowadays, Ben?
Well, he's on the Champions Tour, and he is the tournament director for Indian Wells as well.
Very good, very good.
Just testing. Silk quiz questions from Zagreb.
It was.
JG got bonus points for that one. Yeah, we did enjoy that. But yeah, the Wimbledon 2012 one, I can't even remember who that was against as well. That's terrible. I'm going to have to literally just go back and do some little fact checking just while we're
so that was the year when Federer finally did it. I actually saw
Julian Benneteau.
I saw that final just recently, or some highlights from the French Open final when Federer finally gets the monkey off his back, sort of thing, and it is quite an emotional occasion. Funny enough, considering he'd already won, umpteen Grand Slams already at that point, maybe 12, 13, something like that. And then seeing his wife in the crowd as it get to match point and seeing him just crash to the floor and crying, much like it was for his first Wimbledon, if you remember how that was in 2003, I think. And we saw the emotion from him in 2003 at Wimbledon, and it was exactly the same fall, albeit onto the red clay in Paris rather than the green grass in London.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Gene just confirmed it was against Julian Benneteau that he came back in Wimbledon in 2012. So,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, that very emotional times for him. Obviously, Federer, when he won that Roland Garros, completely amazing that he was finally able to do it. It had been sort of like got the monkey off his back, so to speak, and sort of similar to, I think, the first Wimbledon when he'd sort of changed his whole persona in tennis, hadn't he? Like he'd gone from sort of an angry man to a more composed guy on the tennis court, and then we finally got to see what he was made of, and he was like a breath of fresh air, and just never looked back after that one. And it was just like tennis was born or something. I don't know. That's how I felt. Like, that's why Federer gets so much praise, though. You got to remember, because tennis was in a sort of era at one point. We had the Sampras sort of era, Agassi, and something needed to change. Federer made it change, and it, like, tennis changed. That was like the thing, and that's why Federer gets so much credit. And you can't not give him credit and just say, "Oh, but he's 20 and he didn't beat that." Yeah, but people came along and they had to raise their level to beat him, and he was set a new bar that was so high that it's just testament to Nadal and Djokovic that they managed to take it even further than Federer. Can anyone do that past them?
I mean, the other thing as well is so next is Sampras, I think, with 14, right? I mean, that says a lot. I mean, the gap between fourth and third is 6, which is insane. You know, considering.
Yeah.
You know, this is kind of Usain Bolt smashing the world record by like almost half a second or something, because this is, you know, you probably had somebody getting 8 slams, then somebody gets 9. Oh, well done. Or somebody gets 11. Well, that's amazing. No one will ever beat that. Someone goes and gets 13, and then Sampras comes along and gets 14. You're like, wow. And so probably some older viewers will remember the day that Federer finally got to 14 or even 15, and they're like, wow, never thought anyone would ever get more than Sampras. And here we are a decade later, and we've got 3 guys all in the 20s.
It's madness. And then you've got on the other side Serena Williams, and she's sort of been carrying 23. The flame all on her own, really, on the other side, like trying to overtake some, like, obviously older records, which have been standing for a lot longer. So anyway, moving on to, I think the last one's a bit more of a, Rafa-ish one. Sets dropped on the way to winning slams. Nadal's lost 50 in 22 slams. Djokovic 69 in 21 slams. But I don't really make much of this stat, to be honest.
No.
I think,
like I say, all of these, honestly, Ben, they're 3 amazing players, and we could be doing a Nadal show right now, and I would find this tiresome too. I do find it tiresome. I see them on Twitter from the Nadal fans. I see them on Twitter from Federer and Djokovic. They're all kind of a bit boring, because they're all trying to get. And I could twist. I could probably find a stat that makes the Tim Henman the best player of all time somehow by saying, look, he did more volleys at the net at Wimbledon than any of the big 3.
Yeah, well, this one, you can look at it 2 ways, I think. I mean, you can look at this and just, you can look into the slams that they were won at, for starters, and you can say, well, Nadal's so dominant. When he wins Roland Garros, he barely drops a set. You can look at Djokovic's one and say, yeah, he's lost 69 in 21 slams, but he does always take like a set to just work people out. And even when he's a set down, you don't ever think, oh, Djokovic is out of this, he looks done for. No, even when he's 2 sets down, you think he's probably still got this. Like, it's never, he likes playing 5-set matches, Djokovic, and that's a reality. He relishes dragging you into his realm, which is the 4th set, the 5th set.
When you win a major, if you've dropped, 7 or 8 sets on the way, or he did it without dropping a set, that's the kind of thing that gets mentioned in the on-court interview with Subaka afterwards, but nobody really cares. At that match championship point, you drop to your knees and you go, unbelievable, my first ever major, or my 21st major, or whatever it happens to be. It's just incredible. You don't sort of go, oh, wish I hadn't dropped so many sets.
No, because at the end of the day,
nobody cares.
Part of his strategy sometimes is to drag players into the waters they don't want to be in. They don't know how to play 5 sets, a lot of these players, the same way that Djokovic does. And he just thinks, yeah, you just keep going. It's sort of like a boxer who knows he's got an amazing gas tank, and he just thinks, oh, yeah, you keep throwing those big sluggers for the first few rounds. You wait. Set rounds 8, 9, 10, 11. When we get to the 11th round, you're going to be out on your feet, and all I'm going to have to do is go, dup, dup, boom, down you go, and you're not going to have any energy. And that's pretty much the way I could compare. Like, Djokovic is like a very super fit prize fighter that likes to go the distance, and I think that he loves 5 sets. I think he relishes it. If anything, you see him play his best tennis from 2 sets down sometimes, and I don't know. I love watching a Djokovic comeback, I have to say. not saying I don't love watching another comeback from someone else. Obviously, Rafa's come back against Medvedev in Australia, probably one of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen ever in tennis. So
I'm going to, by the way, people watching, Ben, JG, whoever, I'm going to start finding stats that support that Tim Henman's the greatest of all time. And I'm going to start tweeting them. Nobody's covered as many blades of grass at Wimbledon as Tim Henman has. Not even the big three. Yes. None of the big three ever managed to force Goran Ivanisevic to 5 sets. None of them. Not even Djokovic. There you go.
Maybe in training. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, let's go, because I'm interested. Obviously, we've been speaking about how many Grand Slams, this type of thing. Just want to make sure I've got the right one up here. Just bear with me a second. Okay, right. So yeah, I've got this one here. So number of Grand Slams. How many Grand Slams do you think Novak Djokovic is going to end on in his career?
Do you want to just highlight this from Amy Simmons there? And
sure. Thank you for the super chat, Amy. I really appreciate that. Preach it, Ben. True words. That's it. I mean, I can't say it any cleaner, to be honest. That's just the way it is. Like you can look at like loss of sets and stuff. I feel it means nothing when it comes to Djokovic. It's like I can't repeat myself, but I just feel like certain players suit different styles of tennis, and Rafa's style is blitz people off the court. That's just, and you will drop less sets like that. Djokovic's style is, I'll work you out and drag you in and take what they say, take your legs, then take your soul. So that's what he does to you. And unfortunately,
Andy Roddick said it.
You see players, they're not the same for about a year after playing 5 sets with Djokovic. And that's, unfortunately, that's what he does to you. But yeah, how many slams for Djokovic?
Well, so it's 21 right now.
And let us know in the live chat as well. We put our poll today. Let us know. I'm going to reveal what the poll has said after John and myself have given our predictions. So it'd be either 21, 22, 23, 24, or 25 or more.
So Djokovic, this is well, he's obviously going to win probably another Wimbledon. That's 22. Let's give him another Australian, 23. Let's go 24.
Let's go 24. I'm going to stick with what I said 18 months ago, and I'm going to say 25 still. I think it was after he won his 17th.
Yeah.
So
I think I said 22 at that point.
18, sorry.
I've given him an extra. I'm giving him an extra 2 compared to that exact conversation.
Yeah. 24. So we got a lot of people coming in the live chat. We got Dave. Also Dave. I've never called you Dave before. David. We've got 25. We got Edgar with 21.5. Minchi going in with 25. We got 25 MQR, 24 Scapegoat. Meadow in with 24. We got JG in with 23 there. I'd be interested to know what Rafa's ending total is for JG. We got 25 there for Sanko. Vanch coming in with Rafa 23, Djokovic 24. We got Blind Fury, Novak 25. Gary in with Nole and Rafa on 24. Look at that. I like it. He wants there to be nothing between them when they both retire. Edgar saying 23. Gene 24 or 25. He's covering all bases. Sandy's doing a Ben. We've got Freya 24 to 25. Well, in between. And we've got Gene's going with 25 in the end. 10 Wimbledon says Simrija. Michael's saying 24. Kane with 24 as well. I'm going to take you to what our poll said. So as you can see here, for people who are just listening on the audio platforms, 21 has 12% of the vote, thinking that he will not win any more Grand Slams. We've got 22 Grand Slams, 10%, 23, 17%, 24, 24%, and 25 or more with an overwhelming 37% of the vote there. We had 633 votes. And 37% think over 25 or more Grand Slams for Novak Djokovic.
I mean, you've obviously got a bigger window with that 25 or more. But yeah, I've gone for 24. But like I say, this time, 18 months ago, I think I said 22. And he's almost at that figure already. It's interesting. 12% of our viewers, or 12% of the votes, 633 votes. Anyway, 12% think he's not going to win any more majors.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. I think even if he plays one more Wimbledon, he's probably got it wrapped
Yeah.
up again, if I'm honest. After
Yeah.
watching him the last two times he's won it, last year, more comfortable, I'd say, even than this year. This year, even though he seemed in trouble in certain ones, I'd still never doubted that he would be able to turn any of the matches around. And the Sinner one could have been the closest, really. I mean, if Sinner, but I don't know. I take that back. I don't think Sinner one was the closest, because I've said the same thing throughout the whole tournament. It's easy to win. What is it? It's easy to win 2 sets against Djokovic. Not easy, obviously, but in this sort of saying. But to win the third set is always the thing against Djokovic. If you can win 2, I doubt you can win that third, because that third is he will make you work so hard to try and win that third set, and your mental has got to be so strong to try and take out Djokovic. I just don't know if it's that possible. And I personally think that he just he's so composed. He's like probably one of the most composed tennis players on a tennis court. Sure, he's human. He has an off day here and there, same as any player. I mean, we've seen Federer have a rubbish game every once in a while. You see Nadal do it, and you think, what's wrong with him today? He can have those as well. But I think when push comes to shove with all of the biggest players on tour, he's the mental giant, and he can sort of handle the nerves so well, to the point where if you're not someone like a Rafael Nadal or a Roger Federer, you're probably not going to beat him, and you're probably going to end up shaking on the big moments, and he'll just be able to keep it in, keep forcing you into positions you don't want to be in until you either make a mistake or he finishes you off. And that's just Djokovic for you.
Yeah, and I think I know we're obviously coming towards the end now, but I would just like to touch on the coming weeks and months, because I mentioned at the beginning of the program that there's a good chance that we won't be seeing Djokovic play until the 23rd of September. So that's still 2 months away. That'll be sort of 10 weeks more or less, I guess, altogether, if you include the previous 2 weeks. And I think that's it's becoming, with every day that passes, it becomes more likely. We see Joe Biden has got COVID today, so I don't think that'll be helping Novak's cause.
Definitely not.
But seriously though, I don't see anything changing, and I understand that his fans will be frustrated with that. I know some fans are frustrated with him just not getting the jab, and I understand that perspective too. But I don't see anything change. I also understand some people's frustration. I know Tennis Sanguine has highlighted this, that he can go and play because obviously he's a US citizen, but Djokovic can't because he's not. But having said that, if I don't have a visa, I can't go to certain countries. I can't just rock up in countries where I need a visa. And I can say, yeah, but that pub in the city center of Caracas in Venezuela, I'm not barred from the pub. No, but you are barred from the country. Well, yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah, and I see, obviously, there's been the petition out. So about 30,000 people have signed this one for Djokovic, and it sort of ties in well with where we go next. And obviously, the title of the video is "What Next" for Djokovic and for the GOAT race. Really, obviously, the next tournament that he probably would have liked to have been playing would have probably been the Canadian Open over in Montreal, and now
that's been ruled out. Yeah.
That is ruled out. And Cincinnati after that, that's in the United States. That one is ruled out as well.
He's also said in his press conference, I think it might have been before the final or after the final, but he's not going to be rocking up at 250s and 500s for the sake of it and that kind of thing. And I think all the Masters between now and obviously the US Open, or both of them, I think obviously in North America, I think there's just two. One in Cincinnati's a Masters 1000, and of course Montreal. Montreal or Toronto, I think it alternates every year, right? That Canadian Open.
Yeah. I mean, I think
this
the
year
Montreal one. Montreal one is the Masters 1000.
I thought they both. I thought 1 year was in Toronto and the next year.
I think you're right. I think that rings a bell for some reason. But
Let us know in
I
the
think I
chat.
remember that from last year. But
John
yeah,
or Ben, John or Ben, John or Ben, who's right?
yeah. Well, I just want to quickly read out Rowdy every lap who sent in a super chat saying Rafa's winning the 2022 US Open, 2023 and 2024 French Open, and retires after he wins the Olympic gold medal at Roland Garros at centre court on Philippe Chatrier. And then what? Walks off into the sunset. Is that it? And then that's it. End of the GOAT debate. Appreciate the super chat, buddy. Does mean a lot. Always welcome these scenarios. Let us know your scenarios for how you think it's going to finish. Maybe Djokovic wins the Olympics. Who knows? Maybe he finally completes the Golden Slam. Who knows what would happen in that year? But it's going to be exciting.
I think obviously it'll be a fairly intense end of the season for Novak. He'll have a couple of months off now, I guess. Petitions or otherwise. I think a couple of weeks ago I thought there might have been a chance for Novak and the US, but given how COVID is the direction it's going in, and all these other things, I mean, I just don't see why would the US change it just for a tennis player. I mean, we saw all this happen, of course, in Australia. The US are clearly not going to go down that route, and really, it's been 2.5 years of fairly strict policy in the US, which they've only relaxed in the last 12 months by saying if you're vaccinated, you can come in. But I don't see, just because a tennis player wants to play a tennis tournament, despite these demands, that the US government is going to change its pandemic policy.
Well, especially now Biden's got it as well. So
yeah,
I think that's right.
but we all see a fairly intense. So of course, there you go, Canadian Open. Oh, is it always in Montreal then? So maybe I was wrong.
I know what you mean, because
I thought they changed it every year, but no one's letting us know in the chat.
What was the Toronto? So apologies if we're getting it wrong.
Maybe it was held in Toronto in the past and they moved to. Mind you, I always get those two cities muddled up anyway, so it's a good job I'm never going, because I'll probably end up in the wrong city.
It's just the Rogers Cup, I believe, and that's what it's known as. And I think maybe, or the Canadian Open.
Look,
maybe
Scapegoat. I love the name, by the way. He's suggesting they do alternate every year.
That's what I mean, but I don't think it changes the points. I know what you mean. You were saying, I think they change where it is, but they don't change. I don't think the points changes. It's just always a Masters 1000. I believe.
Yeah, that's right. But they just switch between the two cities every year. I think.
Yeah, Montreal. I think it's because the women's switch. That's it. They switch with the women's. That's it. So the men's is at Montreal one year, the women's is at Toronto, and then they swap over. There you go.
We got there in the end.
There you go. See, look, there you go. Just as I remember it, David remembers it at the same time. Sorry if it's a tennis podcast.
Yes. So, but regarding Novak's end of the year, it'll then go into overdrive once we all return to the sort of, I don't know if it's called a swing, but the European indoor swing, if you like, from after the US Open. So obviously got that lovely exhibition tournament at the Laver Cup, which will be in London this year. And then you'll have Paris-Bercy, I suppose.
Well, this is what I wanted to go to, because obviously if he's going to be missing US Open, then we're going to be going down. Then we've got.
He might do the Davis Cup. I think he did highlight that. That might be. We might see him do the Davis Cup, Serbia, and all the rest of it. Laver Cup. I think he'll probably do that too. I mean, he doesn't need the rest.
No, exactly.
He won't be going to San Diego. No. I don't think he'll bother with the 250 or in Sofia or in Tel Aviv or Korea.
Go past these. Now we're into October.
He'll stay in Europe. He's not going to be in Kazakhstan.
No, I don't think so. Not over with Borat. The Japanese Open is 500. No. I don't think it's anything less than the Masters.
Probably.
That's what I thought. Like, that's what I'm saying is
might be. What's Antwerp? 500 maybe. Might do something.
Nah, I don't. I think it's 250 Antwerp. So we got Basel.
He might do. He might do something like Vienna. I mean,
come back to ruin Federer's return.
Yeah, right.
Come back
could be
just to crush Federer on his return to the court. Don't think he'll do that. Maybe Vienna. Vienna's
he might do one tournament between, say, Laver and Paris-Bercy, then do Paris-Bercy, then ATP, I guess.
I personally think. Let us know. Let us know in the live chat, which tournament do you think that we're going to see Djokovic at next? I said it in the news video. My personal opinion is I think it's going to be Paris. I don't know why.
What, you don't think we'll see him before Paris-Bercy?
I don't count Laver Cup. Sorry if anybody's counting. Okay. I think we'll see him at Laver Cup, but I don't think he's going to be in another competitive tournament until Paris. That's my personal. I don't think anything else interests him really.
Okay, so we've got Davis Cup there confirmed for Novak.
Yeah, I mean, Davis Cup.
Confirmed, by the way. We know what that means. He's also confirmed for Cincinnati at the moment.
Confirmed for the ATP Cup at the beginning of the year as well. So,
what was the tournament he was enrolled in? But I think was it I forget which tournament he's enrolled in, but I think it was Indian Wells, I think. And like the day before, he said, "Nah, not going to be there." And we all knew it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. Right? When just because his name's on the list for the US Open still, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Novak and filling in forms, by the way, it's not been a good year for him. So he needs to stop enrolling in tournaments that he knows he's not going to be playing in.
That's it. I mean, well, let's move down. So that's my personal opinion. I think obviously after that, he's not going to be in the next gen final. And then next is ATP Tour final.
Get a wild card. Yeah. Get a wild card for the next gen.
That's it. Maybe he'll be that. ATP Tour finals, I expect to see him at, obviously. So I think Paris and then ATP Tour finals, obviously trying to get that, probably try and get that record for ATP Tour final victories. I think he's still behind.
I think he'll do another tournament as well. I mean, if Paris and ATP, that's not much.
If he does Vienna, I think I pick Vienna.
Yep, 500 makes sense.
If he does, but right, okay. I know that we're coming close to the end. I just wanted I'd bring up one more thing, which was the favorite matches, favorite slam final victories for Novak Djokovic. I put out a poll earlier on this one. Look at me with all my polls, aren't I fancy? Trying my best to be a proper podcaster. There we go. This was the results of the poll, just to show you guys and girls, as you can see here, which is your favorite Djokovic slam final victory? And the options were the Wimbledon 2019 versus Federer, French Open 2021 against Tsitsipas, Australian Open 2012 versus Nadal, Wimbledon 2014 versus Federer, and then other, right in the comments. But the overwhelming two that have taken everybody, I don't think there's any surprise. Like the Wimbledon 2019 against Federer had 45%, obviously a 5-set match with Federer saving match points and going all the distance to defeat Federer from the brink of defeat. And then Nadal, obviously another 5-set match in a final, this time in Australia. And no doubt the Djokovic fans voting for the ones that they're just happiest to get the biggest wins over in probably like the biggest matches. So
yeah,
do you have any other ones?
You know why I'm doing this, by the way? Do you know what it indicates? Djokovic fans will know. Let us know in the live chat, why am I doing this regarding that particular poll? Let's see what the Djokovic fans, they'll get it immediately. I'm sure they will. You'll have Vanch in there and
I'm sure,
and Gene, all the rest of it. They'll be writing in a second, but we'll come to that in a second. No, I don't have any more to add. I think those three that you highlight at the top. I mean, I think this. What about his first French Open? His first French Open win against, was it Andy Murray 2016?
Yeah. I mean, there's some significant ones. That's what I mean. Like, there are some, and there's even some matches that aren't even wins, which I still thought were like epic matches. Like even the one he lost to Murray in the US Open, I thought was still an epic final and that type. There's so many great matches that it's hard to just pick one. But obviously, you're going to pick one, which was, I thought I was going to include one for Nole fan where he's just like battered Nadal in a final or Federer. But I thought, go for the big one, the 5-setters, the thrillers, those ones, because they're the ones that go down in history a bit more than just him wiping the floor with somebody in the final. I mean, I know it's great for if you're just a big super fan.
His best performance was possibly 2019 Australian Open against Nadal. You know, that probably with certain Djokovic fans will rank highly, probably not at the top, as you say. By the way, so now we've got someone, that's the lady who's celebrating 2 championship points for Federer in that 2019 final. She's just doing this like in the air for about 30 seconds. 2 championship points, championship points.
I remember the picture. Now as you're saying it, it does ring a bell. It wasn't you dressed up, was it?
No.
Right. So just to have a look down, like obviously we should just have a look down, and then you can see here 21 titles, 11 runner-ups. I mean, it's pretty amazing. 32 Grand Slam finals just in total. Just to have a look just down some of those.
2016 will probably rank quite highly for some because that was his first French Open, and it kind of was a win that maybe they were fearing would never happen, having lost the first set as well. But yeah, and listen, if you're a fan, you could probably pick 5. You probably throw that one in there, and like I say, that 2019 Australian Open final for a bit of variety in the nature. I mean, that was just crushing. He just
well, that's what I mean. That's what I was going to put that one in there.
Nadal said in his on-court interview after the French Open final of 2020, he said, "Well, you killed me in Melbourne last year." So because he was obviously talking about him killing Novak, I guess, in that 2020 final, and it was like, yeah, well, you killed me in Melbourne, so maybe that's sort of even now.
Well, exactly. I mean, you look at the number of games won.
For me, that's
7, he won 8.
That's
pretty even.
That is the one, that 2019 Australian Open final. I think it's impossible to say, but for me, because Nadal was on fire in that tournament, I know he'd had a couple of injuries going in it, but Nadal hadn't dropped a set. He wiped the floor with Tsitsipas in the semi-final. We thought we were going to have a colossal match between these two, and Djokovic just played just from another level, just another planet.
For me personally, like, I think there's the one that doesn't really get spoken about enough was the straight sets against Juan Martín del Potro at US Open. I mean, that's not an easy victory. I know that you could say, oh, he doesn't have the same level of experience in a Grand Slam final, but you're talking about somebody with the sort of game of Del Potro. He's not that easy to control, and he could wipe anyone off the court on his day. And to do him in straight sets, I thought was an amazing victory, to be honest.
Can you go up a little bit just to see some of the earlier ones? So I might be probably forgetting some. Yeah. Of course, there's been some immense semi-final matches he's played as well. Sometimes maybe even greater than his finals.
Yeah.
But 2012 Australian Open, we've already mentioned that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got the big ones in there, and the poll kind of reflects that. I think those two epics were, especially that. I think 2019 won it, right? 45%.
Yeah.
But
45.
arguably he didn't play his best that day.
No.
I mean, favorite win or not, I think the 3 sets he won were all tie breaks, right?
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 7. He even lost. Didn't he lose a set 6? He also lost a set 6. He also lost a set 6 love, did he, or 6-1?
6-1. So 7-6, 1-6, 7-6, 4-6, 13-12.
I remember watching that, and the commentators and I was thinking the same. The set he lost 6-1, I think he almost did tank that. I think he did not. I mean, I don't know if it's tanking is the right word, but he's basically thinking, I've lost this set. I need to regroup and think about the next set. When he was already.
When Federer's on, it's just like almost. What's the point? Just like, if he's just going to wipe the floor with me in this set, I'm going to just let him have that one. I'll come back stronger in the next one. Why waste the energy?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we both agree with that one. That's the one that will probably go down in history more than any of the others. And
it's the one that put, now we can see it more than ever. It's the one that put Federer out the slam race.
Yeah, really. And after that, wasn't ever the same again. It took his legs, took his soul. That's Novak Djokovic. 21 Grand Slams. Make sure, if you are watching this on repeat, let us know your answers to all of the questions we've been sort of firing at everybody in the live chat. Pop them in the comments section below. Make sure to always, if you are part of this live stream at the moment, whack a like on the video now. And if you're just watching on repeat, whack a like on it in a few hours' time or whenever you're watching it. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 50,000 subscribers very soon. Hopefully we can make that close to the US Open or something like that. But I'd want to know everybody's thoughts in the comments. Where will Novak Djokovic next be seen competitively on a tennis court? And how many slams do you think all of them are going to end up with? But I think we can end it on that, mate. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom with the world.
Cheers, everybody.
Right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Make sure to join us. There'll be more tennis action. David will be covering, I think, another 3 matches tomorrow. So make sure to join him for them. See ya.